Hello and welcome to the Leadership Compass for today. This is day 3 and we'll be bringing the topic, the act of convincing others, to a close today. And we've talked about, a couple of things. We've talked about the components of convincing others. We've talked about the techniques for persuasion. We've talked about emotional intelligence under the components. We talked about building credibility. We talked about understanding your audience. On other techniques for persuasion, we talked about reciprocity. We talked about commitment and consistency. We talked about social proof. Today, we'll be talking about practical steps for leaders. Things that you need to do before you go and make a presentation trying to convince people. First thing, you need to prepare thoroughly. Before attempting to convince others, leaders should prepare by gathering relevant information. You should also anticipate counter arguments and planning your communication strategy. It is very important. You should prepare, gather as much information as you can gather on the subject matter. Make sure you are prepared for counter arguments, because once you are bringing an idea to the table, everybody has an opinion. They have opinions, and they probably have a preference. You are trying to make them change from what they originally believed to what you believe. So you should expect them to counter you. So prepare for counter arguments and also plan your communication strategy. Then secondly, build relationships. Building relationships is very, very important. In fact, it is a foundation for effective persuasion, right? If you don't build relationships, if all you do is burn, it will be very difficult for you to convince people. Build relationships, have positive relationships. Leaders should invest time in building trust and rapport with your team members. Like, if you have a very, very good relationship with people, they automatically like you. And it becomes very easy to convince them to do something. If it comes to a scenario where they have to pick between different people, right, between the opinions of different people, because they like you and because they have a relationship with you, they would always want to choose you. They will always want to choose your opinion. Then the next thing is listen actively. Effective persuasion starts by actively listening. Leaders should encourage open dialogue, listen to feedback, and also show that they value their team's input. Right? As a leader, I must be able to listen to my team members. Even if whatever they are saying doesn't make sense, I must be able to listen to them and be able to convince them otherwise based on what they are saying. Make them understand why what they are saying does not make any sense at that point. And the way you communicate it to them equally matters. So you should start by actively listening to people, listening to your team members, have open dialogue. Like, I want to hear what is your thought on this, guys? What do you think on this? What do you think on this? What do you think about this? What do you think about this? Right? And whenever they are making sense, try to bring in whatever they said into, like, just take whatever they said and like, okay, we're going to adopt this idea, we're going to adopt this. Because leaders have this tendency of listening, saying, oh, I want everybody to contribute, but they already have what they want to do in their mind. Like, they've already settled everything. So whatever you are saying is just like, shall let us carry them along, so that it's not be like it's only us that are making the decision. So let them say something, but you know what we want to do. You know what we want to do, right? That should not be your behavior as a leader. We're talking about being able to adapt. Different situations and different audiences require different approaches. A leader should be flexible in the methods and willing to adapt to any strategy as needed, right? If I'm in a religious gathering, my approach to people there should be different from my workplace, right? If I'm in a political gathering, the way I talk to people or interact with people should be completely different from how I interact with people in a religious gathering. And the last part of convincing others, the last thing that you need to do is following through. In the church, they'll say you go for evangelism and you do follow up. Right? You're trying to convince someone to join your church or become a Christian, after preaching to them, you have to follow up to make sure that whatever decision they made on the day you preach to them, they are still standing. And it is just the last step, the last phase of convincing people. Convincing others is not just about getting their initial agreement. Leaders must follow through on promises. You must ensure that actions taken align with the commitments that are made. And that will bring us to the close of the art of convincing others. I'll see you next time. Bye.